Well, we're just over 2 weeks away from the start of the Craftsman Truck Series and the NASCAR Xfinity Series seasons, and I thought it'd be good to kind of do a little overview and kind of a prediction video, but go over some past statistics of the series as well. The four metrics I'm going to be looking at today are the Truck Series Rookie of the Year, the Truck Series Champion, the Xfinity Series Rookie of the Year, and the Xfinity Champion. So let's start off with the Truck Series Rookie of the Year and look over the last five. In 2024, Lane Riggs didn't really have any competition and ran away with it pretty easily. Thought he really came to life in the second half of the season, and he should be a force this year. 2023, Nick Sanchez, he beat drivers like Rajat Karuth, Jake Garcia, Daniel Dye. He's not going to be in the Truck Series this season, but had a pretty good season last year, won a couple races. 2022, Corey Heim actually won despite only running 16 of 23 races. He beat a couple drivers like Dean Thompson and Jack Wood, so that says all you need to know. 2021, Chandler Smith beat current Cup Series driver Carson Hocevar for Rookie of the Year honors, and in 2020, Zane Smith made the Final Four, finishing second while beating four drivers that included Christian Eckes. For the last five Truck Series champions, we're going to start off with Ty Majeski last year, who got it done in his third full-time season. 2023 was another Thor Sport truck in Ben Rhodes, and if you can see from the five that I have on the screen here, three of them are Thor Sport trucks that are kind of more career truckers, which I really like, kind of going back to the lineage of the Truck Series, where it's veterans who kind of stuck around in the series for more than a year or two. 2022, Zane Smith won after a change to Front Row Motorsports after back-to-back second-place finishes with GMS Racing. Again, 2021, we got Ben Rhodes. And in 2020, Sheldon Creed won for GMS their second and final Truck Series championship before folding. For the Xfinity Series Rookie of the Year, last season Jesse Love beat out Shane Van Gisbergen. 2023, Sammy Smith won a Battle of the Smiths, beating Chandler Smith. 2022, Austin Hill won the RCR teammate battle against fellow rookie Sheldon Creed. 2021, Ty Gibbs won after only running 18 of the 33 races. Of course, he won in his debut at the Daytona Road Course. And in 2020, another teammate battle. This time, Harrison Burton won 4 races and beat out his teammate, Riley Herbst. For the last five Xfinity Series champions, we'll start off with Justin Allgaier, who finally got it done after numerous Championship 4 appearances. 2023, Cole Custer beat the JRM duo of Allgaier and Sam Mayer to win his first title. 2022, Ty Gibbs pretty much walked his way to the Xfinity Series title, but he had a pretty good late season battle with Noah Gragson that kind of made things interesting. 2021, Daniel Hemrick finally won his first race, which was the championship race, giving him the title over Austin Cindric. And in 2020, Austin Cindric was the championship after going on an absolute tear in the summer, winning 5 out of 6 races. So why do those 4 categories matter? Well, I'm going to show you something here with the current Cup field. 19 of the full-time drivers in the Cup Series have won one of those 4 titles. And I just kind of wanted to go over the list of them. So the scoring metrics I have on here, TR is Truck Rookie, TC is Truck Champion, XR is Xfinity Series Rookie, and XC is the Xfinity Series Champion. Now, it might shock you to see the top of the list that Austin Dillon is actually the only driver to win all 4 of these honors, with a Truck Rookie of the Year honor, Truck Championship, Xfinity Rookie of the Year, and an Xfinity Series Championship. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Tyler Reddick both have 3 apiece, but they have 2 Xfinity titles to their name, so they've only won 2 of the 4 categories. Eric Jones, William Byron both with 3. Busch has got both in the Xfinity Series. Of course, he didn't really run the trucks. Same goes for Chase Elliott. And Daniel Suarez, all 3 in a row there with 2. Chase Briscoe has Rookie of the Year honors in both series, but no championships. And of course, Ty Gibbs with an Xfinity Rookie of the Year honor and an Xfinity Series champion. Zane Smith has both categories in the Truck Series. And then we get down to a bunch of guys who only have 1 accolade, so I'll kind of go through this fast. Keselowski, Ty Dillon, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher, Christopher Bell, Austin Cindric, and Cole Custer, all with 1 of the 4 categories completed. Now that you've kind of seen all 4 categories, the past winners, and who in the Cup Series has won these honors, let's go into the Truck Series and look at these categories for this year. So there are going to be 6 drivers competing for the Truck Series Rookie of the Year this season, so I'm just going to list them in order and how I think they're going to finish. Of course, this is just my opinion. This is not concrete. Who do I think is going to win? Well, I think it's going to be Connor Mozak. I mean, not a very experienced field going for the Rookie of the Year this season. You know, he ran pretty good in some of his starts last season, and I think that team has been running really good. Of course, Christian Eckes had a great season last year, so I think he's probably going to lead the charge. Second place, I think it's going to be Dawson Sutton. You know, he again only ran limited, but I just saw a late model race where he beat Kevin Harvick, and that's probably got to be a huge confidence booster for him heading into the season. So I'm going to go Dawson Sutton in second. In third, and this one might be a bit surprising, I have Gio Ruggiero. Obviously I know that Tricon Garage team is going to be really good, but he just doesn't have a lot of starts in these series, and I think it's going to be a learning curve for him. And this is one I think I could be wrong on. For me, I think he's either going to win it or finish in the middle of the pack. There's probably no in between. Fourth place, I have Christian Rose. Again, he's in the 44 Nice truck, which hasn't been their best truck. I think he'll be middle of the pack, probably a couple top tens here and there, but I don't expect a serious playoff run from him or anything. Fifth, I have Tony Breedinger. I don't really see too much happening here. Nothing really shocking about her in the ARCA series with Venturini. Of course, I would love to see a female driver come into NASCAR and shake things up. I think that would be awesome. I just don't know if Tony is the one to do it. And sixth, I got Frankie Muniz. I think it's really cool that he's doing this, coming from Malcolm in the Middle and all his acting stuff. I just think, the team he's with right now isn't the best, and he didn't really light the world on fire in the ARCA series either, so I don't think he's going to tear a lot of stuff up, but I don't think he's going to be competing up front very much. Alright, so who do I think is going to make the playoffs? I'm going to kind of reveal this one by one, build some anticipation. This is in no order. This is numerical. This isn't who I think is going to win the championship or anything. But the first driver to make the playoffs, I think, is going to be Grant Enfinger. I mean, he's been so solid in the truck series for so many years and was really competitive last year, so I think that's a no-brainer. Another no-brainer at number 2, I'm going to go Corey Heim. I think it's kind of a joke that he's still running in the truck series. I mean, he would have won the championship 2 years ago despite missing a race if it was the full season points, and I think he had a crazy stretch of like top 10s in there too. He only finished outside of the top 10 like once or twice that year. I think he's honestly ready to go cup racing if Carson Hocevar has been any example, but that's for another day. Third driver I have is Tanner Gray. Now this might be surprising for some people, but there was a lot of movement of guys going from the truck series to the Xfinity series, and those rookies I just showed you, none of them have crazy experience in the series, so I think Tanner Gray, he's been in the series for a couple years. I think he'll get a playoff spot this year. Fourth, I got Daniel Hemrick. This guy has run consistent in everything he's ever been in. The Brad Keselowski trucks, RCR in the Xfinity series, even his championship with Joe Gibbs. We always joke he's not a frequent winner, but he's going to have that truck around the top 5 more often than not, I think. Next up, I got Lane Riggs. He really came into his own in the second half last year. If his first half was anything like his second half, he might have even made it to Phoenix. He really came on in the second half of last year. I think having an extra winter to kind of get everything ready, I think they're going to be a championship contender this year. Next up is Chandler Smith, who's went down the ladder. I thought he ran really good in the Xfinity series. I know there were some things that came out about funding and stuff, but I think him in a front row truck is going to be dangerous. I mean, he ran really good in the truck series the first time, has won in the Xfinity series. I think he's going to be a multi-race winner this year. Next up, another kind of off-the-board one. I'm going to go Stuart Friesen. Like I said, kind of same reasoning for Tanner Gray. I think it's a weaker truck series field this year. Stewie's had some good seasons. He had a Championship 4 appearance. I know that was with Chevy, but I think Stuart Friesen is going to be up in the mix this year, and it'd be great for Canada to have him up there. Next, I got Rajat Caruth. I'm really hoping for a big build-off season to last year. He got it done at Las Vegas. He made the playoffs, but he kind of didn't do too much once he got in the playoffs, so it'd be nice to see him have a good run this year. And last but not least, I got a couple Thor Sport trucks. First up is Ty Majeski. I think he's going to have a great chance to repeat. I mean, that program is just so good. And then I've also got his teammate Ben Rhodes, 2-time champion, was in the mix again last year. Those Thor Sport trucks are going to be in the mix for sure. Now this is where it gets exciting. The Xfinity Series has a very good field this year. A lot of top prospects who are in really good rides. This was a really hard list to kind of put down. 1 through 5 could honestly go any order depending on how things go. But this is kind of just what I think is going to happen. So winning the honors is going to be Connor Zilic. I mean, the kid came in last year and won right away. He's going to be really good. I think a full season and in the car every week is going to be really hard to beat him. Next up, I'm going to have his teammate, Carson Koppel. I remember his dad driving in the Cup Series. Had a really good year for Robert Yates there towards the end of their life. I think the gene passed right down. I think Carson is going to be a competitor this year, and he's probably going to win some races in that one car. Now, third, I got Christian Eckes. This guy has been really good in everything he ran. I think he just kind of had the bad timing of coming into KBM right at the end of the Truck Series, but, he pivoted. Was really good in that 19 truck, and I think he's going to be a competitor this year in the 16. That's been Colleague's flagship car. I think he's going to be a competitor for the championship this year. Now, fourth and fifth, I could have put these ones in either order, and I'm going to kind of justify my choice. So fourth, I have Taylor Gray. I think he's going to be pretty equal to the driver I'm talking about next, but he has more Truck Series experience, and he ran really good in the second half of the Truck Series season last year. Made the playoffs. I think he's going to have a couple good runs in this 54 car, and I think it's going to be interesting with Ty Gibbs kind of saying he's the owner of this car and seeing how that takes this direction. In fifth, I'm going to put William Sawalich. Again, I feel like him and Taylor Gray could flip-flop pretty easily, but William Sawalich just doesn't really have the experience in the NASCAR stuff. I know he ran really good in ARCA, but he only ran a handful of truck and Xfinity Series races last year. I think just based off of seat time, Taylor Gray has been to more of these tracks. I think that's going to benefit him in the long run. And sixth is Nick Sanchez. I can't believe I'm saying that. Nick Sanchez won a few races, made the Truck Series playoffs last year, and I have him sixth, but this is just such a good Xfinity Series rookie grid that it's going to be hard for him to jump any higher. Seventh, I got Daniel Dye. I know he kind of ran some races for Colleague last year, so he has a bit of experience in the Xfinity car, but especially to his truck counterparts, I don't really see it there. Him beating anybody like this. Of course, I think he's going to have a good year. I could see him floating around the top 15 in points, but I just don't see it over a couple of these other guys on the list. And last but not least, I got Dean Thompson. I said it earlier, Corey Heim beat him for the Rookie of the Year honors in the trucks despite running only like 16 races. I don't think Dean Thompson is going to be too competitive, especially compared to the other guys on this list. And now to the Xfinity Series playoff grid, and this one's going to be a little bit more interesting than the truck one because I actually have some rookies making the playoffs this year. That's how good I think this field is going to be. So again, I'm just going to kind of go in numerical order here. First up, I've got Sheldon Creed. He's ran good for RCR. He ran really good for JGR last year. Just couldn't get the win, but it felt like every week he was finishing second or third. I think it's really interesting that Haas is kind of keeping the Xfinity program. I don't know if they're going to have a drop in performance without Tony there, but based on accounts of what you read, he wasn't there too much. So, I think this will be a good year for Sheldon. Next up, I've got Carson Kvapil. I think Carson's the real deal. I think he was so good on the short track stuff. I think that's going to translate, if anything, like Josh Berry's did. I have high expectations for him this year. Returning to the playoffs in the 2 car is going to be Jesse Love. He won at Talladega last year and had a couple solid runs. He didn't light everything up like ARCA, but I think that probably taught him a lot more when he wasn't in the best stuff like he was in the ARCA series. He actually learned to kind of race around guys for top 5 positions. I think he learned a lot last year, and I think he's going to win multiple races this year. Defending champion Justin Allgaier, of course, has a spot at the table. That guy will have a spot at the table until he decides to hang it up. He's that good in this series. Nothing much else to say there. Next up is the number 8, Sammy Smith, and it was really cool to get to put this new number font that they're using on here. I think Sammy Smith ran pretty well last year. He kind of got outshined by his teammates a little bit, but I think he's a lock to make the playoffs no matter how it falls. And the 6th position I'm going to give to Christian Eckes. Again, another rookie. I'm just really high on this rookie class. I think he's going to be a stud. Returning to JGR is Brandon Jones in the 20. You kind of have to have some JGR cars make the playoffs. That's just the way it works in the Xfinity Series. He ran a lot better for JGR than he did at Junior Motorsports, so I see him picking it back up and probably winning a race or 2 this year. Next up, I've got Austin Hill. Not much to say there. He's pretty good. I know a lot of people have issues with his antics, but he's going to get it done on a super speedway race or 2 and probably win a couple ovals as well. So he'll be in for a few wins. Now this next one is probably going to be the biggest shocker of the whole board that I put in both 2 series. I'm going to put Harrison Burton in the 25. Now here's the deal. There's usually a fluke winner like a Jeb Burton or Jeremy Clement, someone who can win a race somewhere, and I think it's going to be Harrison Burton at a plate race or something. He won 4 races in his rookie season. I know he didn't follow it up with a win in his second Xfinity Series season, but he had some good runs. I think he's going to be bringing some Dex money to AM Racing, and I see them competing for a playoff spot in a fluke win. Next up, another guy changing teams is going to be Sam Mayer. He really came into his own the last year and a half, and I think he's going to be a competitor for the title. Had to put another Gibbs car on here. I've got Taylor Gray. He ran really good. Look at his Truck Series stats from last year. I think he's going to be able to carry that over pretty well, and I think that he's probably going to be the best JGR car, but I think the experience of Brandon Jones might alter that some weeks for sure. And last but not least, I've got Connor Zilic in the 88. He's gonna win. He's gonna win. He's gonna lock himself in really early, and he's probably gonna go on a championship run. I don't like putting crazy expectations on these guys, but I could see him having a William Byron like season where he kind of comes in, heats up in the summer, and just never slows down. That's how good I think he is. And with that, that is everything I got here. Please leave a comment if you agree or disagree on anything I put in here. I know I put a couple floaters for the Truck Series playoffs and the Xfinity Series playoffs, but that's the point of a comment section. So I'd love to have discussions with you guys. Thanks for watching.